What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. So, obviously, this week is all about Salt Lake City Regional Championship. Is actually this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, if you're going, good luck. Here is the website. If you don't know how to register for some interesting reason, it's Wednesday. What are you doing? And we'll visit this website here in a little bit. But what today's video is about is it has been a long time since we have regionals. A long time since we've had regionals. I can say that again. Probably 3 or 4 more, 5 more times. And it still would, you would not understand, it's been a long time since it's been regionals. And since then, we've had a lot of online tournaments. Now, online tournaments are great. They're dandy, but they're not like the regionals experience, right? There's a totally different ball game when you go from playing IRL to clicking your mouse. You click a little mouse and you move your little cards, and you don't shuffle cards to actually shuffling cards and seeing somebody across from you that's not going to disconnect or anything like that. So today, what I did is I made some Twitter post, and I said, hey, tag your favorite YouTubers, and I'm going to reach out to them. And what I did is I reached out to a bunch of YouTubers, and I said, hey, give me your one piece of advice for regionals. Just let me know what it is, because I can give you regionals advice all day, and you'd be like, Squeaky, I don't care about you. And I'll be like, okay, I appreciate that, guys. You're my favorites. But what we're going to do today is we're going to listen and read some advice from other YouTubers. And one Twitcher. Is that a thing? Is Twitcher a word? I don't know. Twitch connoisseur? Twitch aficionado? I don't know the word. I don't know what because they're YouTubers, so I'm going to call them Twitchers. Sounds great. And what I'll do is I'll have everybody's link down below to where you can learn about them. Everybody that left a statement, right? Like a word statement. It'll make sense when you watch the video, right? Watch this little segment. I left a little clip to their Twitter, and I don't know how to edit videos very well, so I couldn't do anything with the videos that were sent to me. But what I'll do is, after this plays, I'll shout everybody out. How about that? Yeah. So that way you can watch the YouTube videos. You can go learn more, get prepared for regionals. These are all fantastic people. Great Pokemon content creators. Love them all. They're doing great things. Even the one Twitcher. Gotta remember the one Twitcher. You can go watch his Twitch, and I think there's I don't know how Twitch works. I don't do the Twitch a lot, but I think there's like previous broadcasts you can watch too of his videos. So what I did is I left their Twitter in the pictures, and if it's a video, I put the video in there, and it'll make sense once you watch this. And what we're gonna do first is we're gonna read some of the statements from the YouTubers that reached back out to me and said, hey, here's some advice I'd give you. A lot of YouTubers are busy. I get that. So if your favorite YouTuber did not make it, it's probably because they were busy. We are all very busy out there. So thank you to everybody who reached out, gave statements, talked to me. Even the ones that said, hey, I'm busy. And I'm like, hey, I completely understand. Thank you for responding back to me. And know that your community loves you because they told me to find you. So, yeah, let's go read some of these statements. And after that, we'll watch some videos of some of the best advice from these YouTubers. Alrighty, guys, let's look at them. Alright, guys, so here we go. Here's some of the best advice from YouTubers out there. And like I said, one Twitch streamer as well, too. So first up, we have Mr. Celios Network himself. He said, my advice is don't try to reinvent the wheel for regionals if you're just trying to do well. There's a difference between trying to get exactly first place and trying to earn points or day 2. Playing a top deck you're comfortable with is almost always going to be better than playing a road deck you and your friends made 4 hours before the event. If you're experienced enough to trust your judgment, then go with the rogue, but I typically suggest something that is tried and true for a large event. And I think it's a good thing to point out, especially when you have the regionals last weekend. Everybody is like so hyped on let's try to beat Mew, let's try to beat Arceus, and you're like, you know what? I am good with Mew and Arceus, so I'm just going to play what I've known. I'm just going to play that instead of trying to build a deck that will counter that. This does happen a lot, and sometimes it does work, like Celio said. But sometimes most of the time I think it backfires, and I can speak that from experience. You have this deck idea, and you're like, oh, cool. The night before, let's go. I got this deck that can beat Mew and Arceus, and then the next day you don't play a single one of those decks, and then you could lose. And instead, you could have just played Mew and Arceus, and how to play the mirror a couple times or whatever. But you're comfortable with those decks, and I think that's a very good theme that we'll see. Make sure you are well well-rounded with your deck, you're very practiced with it, and you know a lot about it, and just stick with it, stick out with it, and don't try to switch it up the night before, because usually that will hurt you in the end. So next up is going to be Mellow Magikarp. My advice would be to be careful what information you share with your opponent. Be careful not to tip your hand with talking before the game about what deck you might be playing or good versus bad matchups you've had. Small talk is great, and the reason why IRL play is so much fun, but it is a competition, and do not give your opponent information that might help them move forward in the match. And this is a very good thing to point out, because sometimes you play against opponent, and they're like, ah, man, I just hit, my worst matchup, and blah, blah, blah. I haven't lost to this, and now you're just listening to your opponent, and you're like, oh, man, now we know how to beat this, right? We know how to take this down, right? So that's a big thing. Don't give away what you're playing. They're not in an online environment anymore. Your opponent doesn't know what you're playing and what your weaknesses are and what you struggle against. If you give that away, then your opponent can go into that match and have a way to beat you from the start. Especially now when we have certain decks that have like multiple options, like if you're playing like the Arceus Moltres Toolbox decks, you can already know like what to start setting up if your opponent does give away what they're playing. So it's a very good advice. Most players will, be mad or upset. They go into the next round and they're like, talking about how they lost because XYZ. And in the end, that does punish them. So make sure you don't give it away. If you lose a match, don't get upset. Don't go into the next round, complaining to your opponent why you lost or something like that, because you could give away very valuable information that could make you lose again. So, small talk is great. But, just try to keep it, just a little small talk. Don't try to give stuff away what you're struggling against. And I think it's a very good thing to point out there. Next up, we're going to have the Flea already. I like that we have the Chaos Gym logo. Look at there. But he said, stay confident and believe in the practice that brought you to the event. I think I might have cut out the T. I apologize. That's my fault. I will take that. Some editing editing information. I messed that up. But anyways, we know what that means, right? Stay confident, believe in the practice that you brought to the event. The big thing, like we said earlier, is you could go to the event and you can go, I've been practicing this deck a lot, and then the night before you're like, okay, this deck, it seems really, really good. This Gyarados VMAX, oh, buddy. And then all of a sudden you haven't ever practiced it and you go to the tournament and you just lose. So even if the night before you're doing bad with testing and beforehand your testing was great, just stick with that deck. Don't change it out and just, play what you've been practicing it, and what brought you there. So that's a big thing too. And then we have the Sableye. He says, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is to pick a deck reasonably early on and practice with it. Know your counts and practice. And I think that's a good thing too. The big thing here is to know your counts, because now you're not in an online tournament anymore. So you don't have like a cheat sheet next to your monitor saying like, hey, these are your counts. Like, do I play 2 or 3 of this item? Do I play 4 or 3 of this item? You don't want to go into your tournament not knowing the exact counts. And that is a big thing now, because most of the time you can play your game and go, hold on, let me look at my deck list that's online, and I can see exactly how many counts I play. And that's the big that, a lot of players haven't really done. That have only played an online tournament. They you got to remember the counts, especially now. And I think a really big thing too is like when you go to these IRL tournaments, they're not going to be stacked. Like you have to like mainly count. Do I have 3 RCs in discard pile? And you have to sort through them. They're not going to be stacked on top of each other like it is on PTCGO. So I think that's another big thing too. And like knowing what your price cards are, right? Like if you know your counts, you play 3 of this one card, and you have 1 card in hand, 1 card in the deck, and you're like, okay, well, I prize 1. That is a big thing to practice as well. It does take time to master that one, to know what exactly your 6 prize cards are. But knowing your counts as well as knowing your prize cards is a great thing that we haven't talked about just yet. Practicing early on with your deck is a really good thing. And I think we talked about a little bit, you don't want to change decks, but you could change counts the night before. Like, I want to throw another giant cape in my deck or something. But that comes down to knowing exactly your counts. So we need to make sure we keep up with those counts for sure. And then last, we have Tablemon. He said, for new players, I see a common mistake in wanting to play every card as soon as they can. For example, playing a supporter on their turn because the rules allow you to play 1 per turn. but not because they actually need to. If you take the time to plan how you're going to win the game, you'll note there are many instances where it's better not to play a card at that point, to save it for later, making your win easier to accomplish. And this is something interesting I've seen a lot before, especially, let's take Sycamore, for example. People just like play Sycamore, they dump their hand, they're like, okay, let's dump my hand and draw a bunch of cards, but then you discard like a one or two boss orders, and they don't think about the repercussions, and then later on they're like, ah man, if I only had one boss order in my hand, I could have won the game. But was that Sycamore at the turn you played it? Was it actually needed? What were you digging for? And did you was it worth it, right? And if you're already set up and there's no point to dig, then don't do that, right? Don't do that. Just hold your supporter cards. You have a Marnie in your hand and your opponent didn't play a supporter card last turn, and you're like, they have 7 cards in their hand, but they haven't done anything. Sometimes it might be, beneficial just to hold out Marnie or something and say, I'm not going to play this because I think their hand is dead. It could be a reason why they did that. So, I mean, that's something you have to figure out too. Like I said, with the Sycamore thing, that's a big thing too. Or just boss sorting just because or something. You have to make sure you playing these supporter cards, for the exact reasons. Make sure you're doing it for, I actually need to do X, Y, Z. Not just to play the supporter card just because sometimes that does hurt you a lot. So that's something very interesting that Tablemon did point out. But now what we're going to see is we're going to see a couple videos from different YouTubers, because I gave the YouTubers different options. And hey, you can either send a video or you can send a statement. I know everybody's busy, so whatever you wanted to do. So let's see some of those videos right now.
Hey yo, Fish Knuckles Army, it's your boy Hotshot PTCG, and my top tip for anyone going to regionals is to make sure you have fun. Honestly, you're there to have fun. Now, granted, some people want to do well and win, all that good stuff, but I promise you, the memories I have from regionals aren't from the games I've played. For the most part, it's from all the memories of all your friends. Make sure you go say hi to all those people you only talk to on Twitter and haven't seen in real life. All that good stuff. And hey, here's a top tip for you as well. If you get tilted after a long, hard game, we've all been there. My top tip to you is to go look at all the stores, man. Look at all the vendors, because there was some fun stuff going on at the vendors. All these new sleeves, binders, plushies, all that good stuff. So if you got loads of trays that you're struggling to get rid of, bring them all in a binder, take them to the vendor, get some store credit, and get yourself some fun swag. But honestly, just make sure you have fun at these regionals, okay? Do your testing, sure. Try and win your games, sure. But if that doesn't go well, just remember, you're in a big old room full of 500 or more so people that all love Pokemon. You don't get that too often, so go make the best of it. See you later.
The best piece of original advice that I can give is you want to make sure that the deck that you chose to bring to this tournament has been tested, and that you know that it is good and you are comfortable with it, and you know the ins and outs to a deck. With this brand new format Brilliant Stars coming out, there is a lot of new archetypes and strategies that have popped up. So the metagame is a lot different than what it used to be. A lot of the top decks are still there. Of course, the deck to beat is still always going to be Mew VMAX, but you want to make sure that the deck you are playing has a good matchup against Mew and also can just do well against a lot of the top decks. Of course, we are now in the era of the Play.Limitless site, where there's an online tournament almost every day, meaning that you can get a grasp for what the metagame actually looks like. You can understand what the big decks are, what the best decks are, what decks are winning, what decks are constantly performing really well in top cut. And that can give you an idea of what you want to play and maybe what you want to include in your deck to maybe help counter some of these other decks. Of course, bringing a spicy rogue deck to a regional that hasn't been seen before is a big deal. And if you want to make sure the deck is going to work, make sure that you test it. Of course, you can test it on the PTCGO ladder, or at the very least, you can bring it to an online tournament and get a feel for how the deck plays in a better competitive setting in an actual online tournament on Limitless. Also, make sure you know the ins and outs to your deck. If you're presented with a play in a tournament and you don't know what to do with the deck, or you don't see the play that could actually put you in a really good spot, that could be a big deal. That can cost you the game. Make sure you know the ins and outs of your deck. Make sure you know every little key strategy and every kind of synergy and combo that you have available to you within your deck, so that you can play the deck at the best level it can be, so you can win a regional, because you're going to this regional to win. You're not going there to lose. So make sure you know what your deck does. Make sure you test your deck, and make sure you're confident with the deck that you chose.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Regionals are back. I can't believe it. It's finally happening after 2 years. I know the pandemic is still going on, but we finally reached a moment where we can play in the Pokemon trading card game regionals and VGC too. My name is Steven Maxwell of the FloatyCast, and I have 3 tips for any returning players and new players, more importantly, the new players who haven't experienced something like this. So let's get started. My first tip is to stay hydrated. Make sure you guys are drinking enough water throughout the day. It's 9 rounds, best of 3. Yeah, it's a doozy. So you're going to want to stay hydrated and keep that mind going. My second tip is to keep a level head too. If you lose your round 1, you still got 8 more rounds to go. So if you stick yourself on that same misplay that you made or your deck bricked or whatever, it's not the end of the world. You just keep trucking. And even if you do lose out, you can still get championship points if you make or miss day 2. So always keep grinding, especially for you newer players who haven't played in regionals. It's good to get that mental toughness going throughout the day so that you can come back stronger and better. My final tip, and this is the most important tip that I could ever give you, is that nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Go to bed. Okay, that means if you're playtesting till 2 a.m., you got an early day the next day, so you're going to need to get some sleep. If you're out partying, why not? Everybody loves to party. Even in life, go to bed. Like, you're done. There's a reason they close it down at 2 a.m., and you need to shut it down before 2 a.m. so you can have that nice rest to get partying, to get grinding. Whatever it is you're doing, that's the last tip I have for you guys.
So Squeaky asked me to give some advice to Pokemon players who are maybe going to a regional championships coming up soon. And the main thing I would tell people is just have a good time. Whether you're going to your very first ever regional championships, whether you're, playing in your first one since, March of 2020, whenever the pandemic started, just enjoy yourself. We're getting back to playing Pokemon, which is what this is all about, what we love to do. So just have a good time. Don't put unrealistic expectations on yourself, especially if this is your first regionals. Just go for the love of Pokemon, have a great time, play a deck that you love, play in some side events, meet some new people, just have a great time. A Pokemon tournament is an amazing experience. You don't want to miss out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm so excited to get back to regionals.
All right, guys, there we go. There are some videos from some YouTubers. Basically, to recap, Hot Chalk said, have fun. Check out the vendors. There's so many players there just to hang out and do Pokemon. Go have fun, especially after you lose in a match. Or if you do lose a match or something like that, go check out the vendors, have some fun, buy some plushies. I really do like that a lot. Little Dark Fury said, test it to be comfortable. And then also look at the limit list before you go into the tournament because, like he pointed out, we're in the era of limitless tournaments where every night, there's like 5 or 6 tournaments, so you can see what's doing well and stuff like that, and you can practice your rogue decks. We talked about rogue decks earlier. If you wanted to play a rogue deck, why not test in one of these tournaments and get the feel for it, see how it does to get to the tournament environment, and how you actually stack up against certain decks instead of just playing on the ladder sometimes that some people do. FloatyCast said, stay hydrated, keep your cool. FloatyCast, there we go. Said it wrong. I apologize. FloatyCast said, stay hydrated, keep your cool, and most importantly, get some sleep. I 100% agree with all these. I'll see players not have water with them, not have drinks with them or something like that, and they are just struggling all day. They get headaches and stuff too. Keep your cool. If you lose a game, go to the next one. You can lose, not make day 2 and still get points at a regional championship, which is so cool. So even if you lose a game, just think, okay, and you're out of cut. Well, if you keep in the mindset, okay, I could still get points. And, that's a big thing there by itself, and then get some sleep. Like you pointed out, some players, once 2 a.m. comes, your brain kind of stops working from there. So let's get some sleep. Make sure we at least get 5 or 6 hours of sleep. I'm not going to say 8 to 10 because most people are not going to get that because they are going to be nervous. They're going to be excited. They're going to be nervous and everything like that. So yeah, just make sure you get some sleep. You get a lot of sleep for the big tournament because you are going to play at least 9 hours. Or at the Pokemon the next day. And it's actually it's actually a real life Pokemon. It's not, at your computer desk where you can get up and you can, go get a snack or whatever, or, take a break. You can't do that really at the regionals event. It's always a Pokemon, 100%. So it's a lot of information coming out once, so make sure you get plenty of sleep. And then finally, Trainer Chip said, have fun. You're there to play Pokemon. You're there to hang out with friends. But also, there's side events. And this one is actually pretty cool because they do have the GLC format that we have showcased sometimes on this channel. So they're going to have little side events. You can go play there, go have some fun. And if you do bad, you can go play these side events tables. Usually they give away like packs or like little toys or whatever. And you can actually have fun at those side events playing like rogue decks. That's always where I've had most of my fun is like do bad at regionals or nationals or worlds or whatever. Then you go play side events with like a rogue deck or something. And you just like a little 8-man pod. And you're having fun that way. So that's pretty cool. There'd be a ton of side events and the vendors, stuff like that. So make sure you go check it out. But yeah, guys, there we go. There's all the advice from all these different YouTubers. I think the biggest one is just have fun, right? We haven't had regionals in 2 years. That is insane. It's like, oh, I've been playing Pokemon since 2009, but I haven't done regionals in 2 years. So what does that say? I don't know. Do we count those 2 years as me playing Pokemon or anybody? I guess you do have the online scene, so however you want to count that. But down below, I'll have a link to everybody's YouTube channel. A huge shout out to everybody that participated, that responded back in the Twitter comments and messages and stuff like that. And yeah, guys, good luck this weekend. I'll have a link, like I said, to everybody's YouTube channel down below and to Mello's Twitch. Okay, we're looking at you. The one Twitch will allow it. We'll allow it today. But guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you have any other tips you want to give to, or advice or tips to give, leave it down below the comment suggestion. And yeah, thanks everybody. Hot Chalk, Little Dark Fury, FloatyCast, Trainer Chips, Celio, Mellow, Raul, Sableye, and Demon. Thank you for all participating. Links are down below. Have fun this weekend. And can't wait to see what happens. Alrighty, guys. Bye.